fellow diamond painting addicts, and welcome back to Diamond Painting Anonymous. I'm Daphne, and I'm here today for this week's WIP and Chat. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. WIP, W-I-P, stands for Work in Progress, and this is mine. You are welcome and encouraged to go grab whatever you're working on and work alongside while I chat, or alternatively, you can treat this as a podcast and just listen while I chat. I have been very busy trying to finish up lots of projects, and this is, I think, the last one on my I really want to get this one done project list. This is from the old Mary's Diamonds before Bella Art bought them out, and this is called 02. And it is my last, for the moment, square. I'll explain that in a bit. But let me rearrange things a bit, zoom in so you guys can see where I'm going to be working, and I will be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, let me start my timer. I'm going to start out filling in. As you can see, I haven't worked on this since I did my last WIP and Chat. I'm going to start filling in the ABs. We'll see how far I get. Some days my ABs don't mind my glue dots. Some days they just do not play nice together, so we'll see. I'll see how far I get before I need to go hunt up my pretty placer or a wax picker pen or something so I can get all these in here. So let me start off with my life update, and I apologize if this is another rambler of a WIP and Chat. Some days I have a really good plan for what I'm going to talk about. Some days it's just a bunch of random things all jumbled together, and sometimes I make absolutely zero sense. So let's hope this isn't one of those days. It is blowing a gale outside. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. I hope not. But it has been super windy here for the last several days. Hasn't been windy enough that my husband, they canceled work, but you never know. I mean, they're not working today, of course, but. So, life update. What things have gone on since the last time I talked to you guys? We went after my son's exam, because we were in town. We went to a new restaurant that my husband had been wanting to try because they serve poutine. I don't know why he's gotten it into his head lately that he needs to go to all these places that serve poutine, but he's all about that lately. And it was very good. It was actual cheese curds, so he was happy. I got a chicken fried steak, and it was delicious. It was huge, way too much food, so we ended up bringing most of it back home. My husband took it for lunch, but it was delicious. Even my youngest, who's usually a pretty picky eater, well, I shouldn't say that. It's not that he's a picky eater. He just doesn't care for eating out at restaurants in general. I'm not sure why that is exactly. He just has never really liked it. Now that I think about it, he's kind of been that way since he was a kid. Not sure where that came from, but not that he enjoys eating at home all that much if I'm cooking. My children have told me in no uncertain terms that of the two of us, they much prefer my husband's cooking, which I'm fine with because I don't like to cook, so that's just an excuse for me to get out of it, right? And my husband likes cooking, so he and my son will often talk about recipes and things, and my son has been getting very into spicy things lately, and which my husband loves, and so they've been talking about spices and things that they can buy to make things a little hotter, and I am not about the spice. I do not enjoy spicy food. I've told my husband I don't understand the point of eating something that's so hot that, one, it makes you break out in a sweat, and two, it's so hot you can't taste anything. Like the few times I've tried it, my mouth and my tongue are so hot, burning, that I don't taste the food. So I don't know how you can say it tastes good. There isn't really a taste to it, in my opinion. Anyway, he enjoyed the restaurant, so it was good. It has been getting colder here, windier and colder. I feel like we kind of skipped fall and we're just heading straight into winter. It's not super cold here yet, but I told my husband I'm kind of waiting. Probably just a couple more weeks and we're going to be putting our electric blanket back on the bed for the winter, because our bedroom tends to get hotter and colder than the rest of the house, which is kind of strange, but So we've been talking about putting the electric blanket back on the bed. And then I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but after we got stuck with that huge natural gas bill when it got so super cold, we have been trying to figure out ways to use electricity or something else to kind of offset that for heating. So he went out and bought a couple of electric heaters. We already had one, but if we put one in our room, then that left my son without one, which his room is in the basement, so he should be fine. It's a pretty steady temperature in the basement, but it can get cold down there, especially if he likes to sit down there on the couch and watch TV and stuff. If he's not in his room, his room is pretty small. He can close the door, and in that enclosed space, it heats up pretty fast, but out in the living room, it doesn't, because it's just a big open room. And so I wanted to have a heater down there for when he watches TV or for when we're down there watching TV or something. So we went out and picked up a couple of extra electric heaters, and we're planning on trying to use those. And we still have our little kind of Jackery. It's not actually a Jackery. I think it's a Blue Eddy brand, I think. A little solar charger that we use to charge our phones and our laptops and our iPads and our watches, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it actually does help. I mean, it does make a difference. And it's solar, so it's free. So we've been playing with that. My husband actually went out and bought some additional solar panels so it would charge faster. So we'll see how much of a difference that makes this winter. But, I told my husband, definitely want to keep an eye on what we're setting the thermostat at, because I check our bill every month because the city here provides the gas service. So we don't have an option to go buy gas from someplace else. I mean, other than I guess we could pay to have a propane tank installed and do it that way. But I don't even know, the house is already hooked up to the city gas, and I don't even know if they would let us install a propane tank within the city limits. Probably not, especially since we're already hooked up to the city gas. So anyway, yeah, not a whole lot of choice. I told my husband I have been watching for the last 2 months, watching the price per unit of natural gas steadily increase. It goes up every month. 1 month it may only go up 5 cents, but the next month it goes up 40 cents, and it doesn't ever seem to come back down. Still not at the levels it was when we got stuck with the huge bill, but like I told him, we're going to be much more aware of what we're spending on that sort of stuff, and I don't want to get stuck with another bill like that. We're still paying off the one from 2 years ago. It's getting chilly. My son and I have been much better about going for our walks. We've been keeping to it pretty regularly. Still not where we were before I started having all the issues with my knee, but better than I have been doing for quite some time. So I'm feeling good about it. He's usually the one that tells me with his weather app on his phone what the weather is going to be like. The last couple of times that we've walked, I have tried to look it up on my own phone just so I would have some idea of, because I get colder faster and easier than he does. If I would need jeans, or sometimes if it's super cold, I wear thermal leggings under my jeans and, just try to layer it up if it's going to be super cold. It's not that cold yet, and I've been just walking in a sweatshirt because we go in the mornings while it's still dark and it's still pretty cool outside. I think before this week, the lowest it had gotten was 50 something, but it was 40 degrees on Friday when we went walking, so it was pretty chilly. I did actually break out a coat. Of course, he's walking in shorts. I don't know why you're cold. Well, apparently my body thermostat does not work like yours, because I would be freezing if I was out here trying to walk in shorts. But I'll take it. Like I said, my knee has not been acting up like it was. I'm actually wondering now if it's not problems with my hip. I've seen so many ads for this hip. Have you guys seen the ads for this? It's some kind of hip hook. I don't know what it's called, but it's literally some kind of curved hook that you're supposed to basically put on the floor and then you lay down on it, and it's supposed to press, you know, around your leg and up into your hip, into this muscle that is kind of hidden behind some internal organs to release some of the strain, because apparently some of the issues that I've had with my knee could be related to my hip. And I have actually noticed that, you know, now that my knee's feeling better, I'm having more pain in my heel, and also my right hip, which is, it's my left leg that's been giving me all the problems. My right hip, when I stand in a certain way, I can feel the pull of the muscle that they're talking about. And so I was like, maybe I should try this. But first of all, it's some random thing being advertised on Instagram, so who knows? And also, it looks like it would be painful if you didn't know what you were doing. Like literally it's just this hook and they're like, oh, lay right here and it'll go. And I'm like, but I don't know. How do I know I'm not going to damage something by laying on it the wrong way? Like some of that stuff is not one size fits all, you know? And it's $200 and it's just like this little piece of plastic. So all of the comments, you know, people like, yeah, this would be great if it wasn't $200, and people chiming in that you can get the same kind of relief with everyday objects people have in their house. And so I need to do some more research, but yeah, I'm just, you know, grateful that my knee is feeling better. But now that my foot hurts all the time, I'm kind of annoyed that, you know, did I go to physical therapy and I had all that stuff done and that wasn't even really the problem? And I get that, you know, they only know what I tell them, and it did help, but it didn't solve the issue, you know. So now I'm left going, okay, now what do I do? Because now I have different issues, and the original issue doesn't seem to have cleared up completely. So yeah, just frustrating. We got our latest Yum box it was from Germany this time. So lots of German goodies. I did not care for, they were supposed to be like ketchup chips, but they were like veggie straws, but ketchup flavored. Not a fan. My husband enjoyed them. I did not like them. They had some ham and cheese flavored potato chips, which I also did not enjoy. The cherry cookies were good. I enjoyed those. And they had these little candies called milk and honey caramels. They didn't really taste like caramel. They had the consistency of a caramel, but they tasted like honey, which was nice, and I enjoyed them. But I don't know how much longer we're going to keep doing this Yum box. I feel bad because it seems like over half of what they send is candy. And while I get that that makes sense because, you know, what they have to send has to be non-perishable, but so much of it is candy that it ends up being things that my husband can't have because of his diabetes. So he either eats it when he shouldn't, or we end up, you know, just junking a big portion of the box because he can't eat any of it. We all try at least a piece of everything, usually. But there are just some things that we don't end up eating the whole thing, and so it just ends up getting thrown away. And it's not a huge amount of money for the box each month, but it just seems, I don't know, kind of wasteful. We'll try it for another month or so, and then we'll reevaluate and see what we want to do. But it's fun. Oh, and this month it included a little game. I can't remember the name of it, but it's some little game with like it came with a little mat and sort of a German version, I guess, of Connect 4, except it's Connect 3. You got to get 3 things in a line, and then you can collect other pieces off the board a la checkers. We haven't played it yet, but it looks fun. And you know, hey, we got a free game out of it, so, I mean, not free, I guess we paid for it, but an unexpected game out of it. None of our other boxes have come with the game, so that was fun. They do always come with, you know, a little brochure that tells you something about the home country, so that's been interesting. I have to wait and see where our next box is coming from. I don't think I've seen anything that says where that is yet. Do you guys run your fingers over a section after you finish it? Like, I find that my fingers are so much better than my eyes at being like, oh wait, there's one sticking up there. I didn't get it pushed all the way down. Then my eyeballs just, you don't see it sometimes. Although I think I was really bothered by some of the gapping there, and I think the ABs have kind of filled that in nicely in some places, so it's not as bad as I was thinking. Oh, my youngest finally shared with me that he got his test results back. I don't know exactly what he got on the test. He was very annoyed and said, "Mom, somebody cheated." And I said, "What do you mean?" "Somebody got 100 on the test and they got the extra credits. They did everything exactly right." And I said, "Well, do you have someone in the class who's been getting 100s on all of the quizzes and everything and all the homework?" Because, I mean, I wouldn't put it past their, to be a student who's like, I've taken, the next 2 steps up of this math class. I'm going to take this one just for an easy class so I can get an easy credit. Or maybe it's just somebody who really enjoys math and they're really good at it. But I said, the teacher should know. And he said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, if you have somebody who is getting 100s on all of the exams or quizzes and homework, then it's not unexpected that you have somebody that's getting that on the test. If he's been, this has been a class full of people who are getting half the questions right or 2/3 of the questions right, and nobody's doing that well, and then somebody suddenly aces the exam, then he should be looking at that going, because that would be unusual." I don't really care, honestly. I just want him to pass this class. It's a class he has to have. It's nothing he's going to be going on any further in. So I just said, as long as you're doing okay in it. And he's like, well, his grade, he maintained his grade. So I'm assuming that means he got the same sort of grade on the test. So he must have done better than he thought, because he was pretty sure he hadn't done very well when he got out of the test. So everybody who sent good thoughts my way for him, thank you, because he did well. Not as well as he wanted to, I think, but good enough to pass the class, which is what counts. And he did actually feel better, because he has been annoyed that the final for this class is cumulative. So like the final will be over everything the whole semester. He says he's never had a class like that. I find that hard to believe, but whether that's true or not, he was happy to find out that his textbook has 16 chapters, so he thought they were going to be covering a chapter a week. Well, I guess they're only going to cover half of the textbook, because the other half of the textbooks gets covered in the next semester's class, which he won't take. But since this is the class that we had to buy like 3 different books for, and they were all expensive, I'm hoping that means that we'll get a decent buyback price for the book, and or we'll be able to find a student who is going on to that next class that would be willing to buy it for at least part of our money back, because goodness knows nobody in my house is going to use this textbook again. I kept some of my textbooks from when I was in college. I still have a couple of them, I think. I did a lot of, because I was an English major, I did a lot of reading of like plays and things like that too. So my quote unquote textbooks had value above and beyond, just that we were reading this for a class. Like I have a bunch of William Shakespeare plays and things that I read because I had to take a class on Shakespeare, but those books have value beyond just for that particular class. Not that I'll probably be hanging on to them. I think I've decided that I'm going to get rid of a good chunk of my books, if not all. I've started going through them and getting rid of them a little at a time. I read a lot of science fiction, fantasy books. Once upon a time, I was a member of the Science Fiction Fantasy Book Club. Remember when they used to have things like that, like book clubs? Remember when we bought our records from like the RCA Record Club or the Time Life Treasury Club or Columbia Records or whatever all the various names were? I can remember my dad buying and my mom buying like Time Life Treasury, like a Christmas collection. My dad always liked the Hooked on Classics stuff, and we got a set of those, although I think they were CDs by then rather than vinyl. That's something else we're going to be getting rid of, our vinyl collection. I've got Gosh, I've got Disney vinyl that my mom got when we were kids back in the 70s. You know, it's the vinyl record and someone reads the book out loud, and then literally there's a book attached to the record sleeve that you can flip through and follow along. Crazy. And then when I was going through my closet in here, I found a bunch of Disney VHS tapes that my mom bought for my kids when they were little. A couple of them still have the shrink wrap on them because we just never opened them. My kids were spoiled when my parents were still alive. They had, duplicates of everything. If it was at my house, they had a version of it at my parents' house. And we just usually had lots of other stuff going on. We didn't spend a lot of time watching movies, but my mom was a big movie buff, so anytime the kids went over there, she would have something for them to watch, and they would sit down and snuggle up on the couch, and she would crochet an afghan while they watched whatever movie was playing. And anyway, my husband was very excited because apparently some of them might be worth some money. He was looking on eBay and looking at some of the prices because they're unopened. I don't get into all that kind of stuff because I always figure, if you're not somebody who collects those kind of things, you don't really ever know what they're worth or what somebody would be willing to pay for them. And he's like, well, it's at this price on eBay. And I'm like, yeah, but it's still for sale, which means nobody's bought it. So does that mean it's really worth that much? Or are they just asking some kind of outrageous price and nobody wants to pay it? I'm the cynical one, though, I guess. I kind of got off on a tangent there. I think the only other thing, I took my oldest, we went shopping, and she was asking me what we were doing for the holidays. And I was like, you know what? I don't know. Because originally we had thought maybe we would be gone by this Christmas, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. And my sister and I generally take turns hosting Thanksgiving and Christmas. But I was telling my daughter, I don't actually remember who hosted which one last year. My memory is terrible. I think we did Christmas last year. No, we did Thanksgiving last year and my sister did Christmas, I think. So that would mean she's doing Thanksgiving and we're doing Christmas. Although I guess we could just say, hey, I want to do Thanksgiving again this year. I don't really care one way or the other. It'll be nice to see everyone again. We haven't really gotten together since earlier this summer when we got together for the last round of birthdays. But I've got birthdays and graduations and Christmas coming up. My nephew sent me his Christmas list, but I need to check with everybody else. My husband is always hard to buy for, so I'll have to come up with something for him and something for my kids. I try to make a list for myself as well so my husband has some ideas. Otherwise, I end up with some pretty crazy stuff. Okay, I think that's enough filling in with the ABs for now. I'm going to grab a couple of different colors and work on those. And K's and X's are right next to each other and they look like almost the exact same color. That's not fun. And I'm really appreciating lately, I've had some kits that have had some not great drills. I'm really appreciating kits where I don't have to spend a ton of time kind of picking through the drills before I can even get started diamond painting, because that gets old really fast. All right, what's going on in my diamond painting life? Not a whole lot this week. Again, I've just kind of had my head down working and trying to finish up some projects. Let's see, what have I finished lately? I finished my seahorses. I finished the 2 sneak peeks from Oraloa that I had, so those were unexpected projects. Not unappreciated, but just big projects that I hadn't planned on doing, and that always kind of throws a wrench in everything else. And then I finished, if you didn't see the video yesterday, I finished the Diamond Painting Shop Colorful Soul, and I'm working on the Mooney Maid, which I've got to say I'm really enjoying. And then this one is kind of my last square one at the moment. So I got this one open. I've got the Mooney Maid open that I'm working on. And of course I have my Craftably that I just opened that I'm so super excited about getting to start. It is a round, and I really was trying to stick to rounds for a couple of kits. But in looking at my stash, I've kind of decided if I don't just buckle down and quit avoiding squares, then soon I'm not going to have anything left in my stash but squares because I keep avoiding them. And it's not that I mind squares, it's just they're fussier than rounds and they take longer. And I think that is the biggest issue for me, is just the amount of time it takes for me to be able to complete something. Because while it would be nice to say that I just diamond paint for my own enjoyment, which I do, but I also, you know, have to keep up the content here on YouTube, and I like to bring you guys new stuff. And if I'm just working on, you know, old projects, big projects, then I feel like not only am I going to get bored, but you guys are going to get bored. But then I think kit up and kit down videos can be boring too, and everyone assures me that they love those. So I just had somebody ask me about why I cut quite so much out of my kit up videos. And the honest answer is because a lot of the times when I'm doing kit ups, I'm so focused on what I'm doing that I forget to talk. And it just becomes like this ASMR kind of me pouring drills and closing and opening containers. And I feel like that's boring. Is it? Like, I get the ASMR aspect of it, but I'm not, you know, the point of it is not to make an ASMR video. So I don't know, should I leave those in there and stop cutting them out? Having a hard time seeing which ones here are X's and which ones are K's. There's a couple of K's down here. Trying to get all the ones I can see down here before I move on to something else. I need to section this one off with my release papers. I haven't done that the last couple of projects either. Maybe that's part of my problem. I am using release paper on my Mooney Made one, but the Colorful Soul in this one, and really the two Orloas that I did previous to that, I didn't section any of those with washi tape or my release papers. I very rarely use washi tape. I don't know. Washi tape for me has just continued to be one of those kind of things that, you know, I get some every now and again, but I'll just get like a generic sample collection of it. You know, I'll pick some up at Michael's or I'll throw some in my cart at Amazon. I don't like go out and look for ones that specifically match a kit that I might be doing, that kind of thing. I totally get why people do it. It just, for me, I don't know. I feel bad sometimes watching on Instagram because I see these people posting, you know, this huge pin collection. So they've got a pin that goes with everything, a tray that goes with everything. For me, a lot of it is about functionality. You know, I just need washi tape that works around the edges. If it matches, bonus, but that's not its main purpose. So I don't know, is that weird that I don't care if it matches? But then I want my release paper to match. But I know how to make my own release papers and I don't know how to make my own washi tape. So I guess there's that. And I guess I just feel like, you know, the release papers I get spending money on because you can use them over and over. The washi tape for me is kind of one of those disposable items. I can't reuse it once it's used up. So I just feel like I don't want to spend a lot of money on it for that reason. Of course, I've never been one of those people. I don't wear a lot of makeup. I don't paint my nails a lot, that kind of thing either. So maybe that part isn't as important to me as it is to other people. Not that there's anything wrong with it all matching. It makes for some gorgeous pictures. I just never think that far ahead, I think. I was actually thinking that the other day. I need to get to a point with my kits and everything where I'm thinking far enough ahead that I can take some of those pretty photos so I've got photos to share. Because, you know, a lot of times I'm working ahead of what you guys are seeing on YouTube. Just nature of the beast. And so it would be nice sometimes because sometimes I'll get to the end of the project and I'll realize, shoot, I never took a single picture of whatever this canvas is, you know, as a work in progress, unless it showed up on a video. But I mean, I don't always remember to take photos when I'm working on something. For a little bit there, I was taking videos that I could share because I was trying to do the shorts thing because YouTube tries to push everybody into shorts, but just people who watch my channel are here for more long form stuff. The shorts didn't do as well, and I just thought, you know, I'm going to kill myself spending a bunch of time making content that doesn't really get me anywhere. Plus, I like doing the long form stuff a little bit better. Trying to condense everything down to 30 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever it is is more difficult than it seems sometimes. My eyeballs are having a hard time deciding which of these are K's and which of these are X's. I hope I'm getting it right. The K's are slightly lighter than the X's. And whenever I have trouble with symbols like this, I will always go back. Like, because all of these are just now for me to be filled in, it'll sometimes stand out more that, oh, I missed, you know, oh, that's a K, like that one right there. Because it will look, I don't know, it's just easier to see when it's like that. I don't know if that made sense, but anyway. I'm working on the Mooney Maid. Again, gotta say I really love that one. I've got this one, and then my Craftably Moonbeam one that I'm going to be working on. And then I'm kind of undecided what I need to open next. I mean, DP for Vets is coming up pretty quickly, so I am going to be kitting up a couple of kits for that because I need to get what I'm going to be working on ready. I don't know how long it's going to take me. Like, I'm almost done with the Mooney Maid one. So once I finish it and I'm just solely concentrating on this one, I want to finish. I guess I just need, again, to sit down and make a kind of roadmap for the end of the year. What things I want to finish before the end of the year. Because I want to finish the Diamond Art Club Challenge. I only need one more thing for that. I haven't done anything with a flower in it, which kind of boggles my mind with all of the kits I've done, but it's because a lot of the ones that I've done are not Diamond Art Club. I've certainly done a kit with a flower, but not a Diamond Art Club kit with a flower. So I'm thinking maybe I'm going to open Flower Crazy because I want to get that one finished. And it's on my artist series list, which is something else I need to take a look at to see how many things I need to finish, you know, taking into account all the stuff I currently have kind of in progress, and then see where I am from there and what other things I need to accomplish. I don't want to get to a point where, you know, over the next couple of months, I'm just so burnt out because everything is coming up all at once. I want to get a handle on it before then. So looking at that, DP for Vets is getting ever closer. Speaking of, I wanted to announce another sponsor. So this week, the sponsor that I'm announcing is, drumroll, Butterfly Effect Wares. I contacted them and they sent me an absolutely gorgeous pen and some putty. So I will stick a link to their shop down below. The owner of the shop is a veteran himself, so go check them out. They make some really awesome stuff. It's one of those, like several of the pen places, I'm always there a day late and $1 short. By the time I remember to go check, everything is sold out. But the pen they sent me is absolutely gorgeous, so I'm excited to be giving that away, along with the Art Dot storage folder. I've still got some other things to announce, and yeah, I just hope it's going to be a nice, exciting event. A huge thank you to everyone from last week. Last week I asked you guys for your help and suggestions about what to do with all of my kind of extra diamond painting stuff. And I haven't decided exactly yet what I'm going to do with it. There were so many good suggestions that I can't decide. I don't really need to make money off of any of it. That wasn't the point. The point was just, you know, to kind of share the wealth. But several someone's offered suggestions that would be a nice way for me to cover the costs of everything and maybe have a little extra to share with some other people. And I haven't decided if I think that's a good idea yet. Some of it is just sadly down to, you know, how much I think shipping is going to be, and, you know, kind of what options are and how I want to divide things up. And I haven't quite decided that yet. What I'm doing is I still haven't finished going through all of my stuff. I still have other things. I have so many nooks and crannies in my craft room, you guys, that I just have stuff stored kind of everywhere. And every time I think, okay, that's the last of all of the extra stuff I need to go through, I'll be looking for, you know, something else and then come across, oh shoot, I forgot I had all these things because I don't use them. They're shoved in some drawer or something and I forget they're there. And I would like to make this as painless as possible for me and benefit, you know, as many people as I can. Our neighbors across the street We thought they were doing some kind of renovations. I still think they were doing some kind of renovations, but I don't know if they sold their house without putting it on the market or if they just like sold their house themselves. But this last weekend, they had a huge garage sale, like for 3 or 4 days. And then at the end of it, they had a giant dumpster hauled into their yard, which they proceeded to throw all kinds of cabinets and I mean like kitchen cabinets and things like that, you know, things that were obviously like renovation trash, but then also some things out of their garage. They have a detached 2-car garage and it was stuffed to the gills, so full they didn't even park their cars in the garage. And they basically emptied it out, and there were several people with trailers that came by. There was like I'm assuming it was some kind of charity company that came by, thrift shop, something that came by and picked up a whole bunch of like file cabinets and things like that. Or maybe maybe it was like a metal recycling or something. I don't know. It didn't say recycling on it though, so I'm not sure exactly what they were doing. But anyway, they picked up some very large pieces of furniture, including very giant file cabinets that looked like they were from the 60s and other things. And we had noticed a couple weeks ago, I suddenly realized, oh, they had 2 cars and one of them was a rather loud Mustang. And I'm like, you know, I just suddenly occurred to me, I haven't heard that car in forever. I wonder if the husband moved and, you know, the wife was staying to take care of the house sale and all that kind of stuff, because we actually saw him on the weekend, this last weekend when they were doing the garage sale, saw him there, which we hadn't seen him for a while. In the last few days, now her vehicle has disappeared as well, and we haven't seen either of them for a couple of days. So I don't know if I'm getting new neighbors or if I'm going to see a for sale sign on the house. I mean, you would think in the middle of all that they would be trying to sell it. What do I know though? But anyway, all of that was a very roundabout way to say I watched them and all the work it was for them to kind of go through all the stuff in their garage and sort it all out for the garage sale and get, you know, some of it gone that way, and then still having a huge pile of stuff to deal with. And watching them dealing with getting rid of all of that stuff just made me realize, I really need to get on the ball getting rid of some of our stuff, because I don't want to land us in the position where we're like, oh, okay, we're leaving in 2 days or a week and I only have a week to get it done. I mean, there's a part of me that thinks having a deadline like that would force me to be more ruthless, and maybe that would be better. But that just seems a really, really rushed way to have to go about it. I don't think that's what we want to do. So I'm trying to motivate myself to be like, okay, I'm going to have to step it up here and get rid of a bunch of this stuff, because my husband will never agree to get rid of anything. He's a hoarder. If I just said I want to take all of it, he'd be like, okay. And I definitely do not want to take all of it. So yeah, some things that we need to, or I guess I should stop saying we, some things that I need to get busy doing. I want to go through our closet and get rid of a bunch of clothing and things that we're not going to need, that we never wear, hasn't been on anyone's body in 6 months or more. I saw some minimalist channel. She did that. She put everything in her closet in a box. And then for 2 months, you're supposed to wear your clothes out of the box instead of the closet. And at the end of the 2 months, you know, whatever you dug out of the box, you actually wear, so you get to keep it. Everything else just stays in the boxes and goes. Because if you didn't dig it out in 2 months, why are you hanging on to it? Which is a good question, because I'm sure I have a ton of stuff like that in my own closet, so I do need to go through it and get rid of some things. Definitely want to hang on to all my sweatshirts though, because I'm pretty sure I'll have a use for them in Canada. Even if I don't wear them year round, I'm still sure I'll have a use for them. Okay, now I'm trying to figure out how far do I want to go here, and have I missed any Ks anywhere? Gosh, these really are so similar. I guess I could do it with a light pad, but I don't like using a light pad. As DP for Vets gets ever closer, that means that Black Friday gets ever closer. I've actually been looking at my goals and things for next year. I've got several of them set already, and I am doing what I told myself I would, you know, kind of making like a little, okay, well, if this is the goal, what do I need to get there? So I have some kind of idea. Is this even a doable goal? Is this something I can achieve? Or am I just setting myself up for failure? Because who makes a goal that you know you can't achieve, right? That seems crazy. But we do it to ourselves all the time. So I'm really trying to make a concerted effort not to do that this time. Okay, I think I've got most of the K's there. If I find one, then I find one. So I've been working on goals. One of the things, because I'm still going to keep my diamond painting hours goal, obviously, going to keep my budget. I was debating for my budget if I should take a different approach next year. And instead of being like, okay, here's my budget, I've got to keep it under that, and that means I have this much to spend. I think I want to keep my budget at the same amount. So $2,400 again for next year, barring anything happening. But I think I was toying with the idea of telling myself, okay, rather than saying, you know, this is a limit per month, instead perhaps saying, this is how much I want to spend each month. So actually spending that money each month. Maybe that means I should give myself a little less each month so I have some in the budget for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Maybe I'll give that a think and see how I want to approach that. Because I think this year I've kind of have been focused on, trying to stay under budget, which the money's there for me to spend, so why do that? And I think I've missed out on trying some things, you know, accessories and things that I probably should have tried long before now, and just because I was so focused on, I don't want to spend a bunch of money so I can buy a bunch of stuff at Black Friday. Yeah, I just need to figure that out. See, this is why whip and chats are good for me, because I get to talk to you guys and kind of talk it all out so I can decide, you know, in my own brain whether or not I think this is a good idea or come up with different ideas. And then also you guys can be like, hey, that's a really good idea, or that's so stupid, don't do that. Because yeah, sometimes I get kind of wrapped up in the details, and I kind of lose the forest for the trees, you know. Something I've been thinking about for next year is that I got a notice that Kay in the Diamond Painting Events group sent a thing around, you know, asking everybody to let her know, you know, the details and everything. She has a lovely Google form that you can fill out to let her know so that she can put your event in her Facebook group, and then everybody gets notified, you know, when that event rolls around, that event is coming up and whatever's going on that month or whatever. Because honestly, you guys, there's so many diamond painting events. It seems like every time I turn around, there's another one. And you know, it used to be, or at least it seemed to me, that there would be lots of new ones that were just kind of one-offs and never happened again. But it seems like there are some significant ones that are staying around, or more that are staying around than being one-offs. And so, yeah, it seems like every time I turn around, there's a new event, more so than in the past. And so I was like, oh, well, I need to go send her, fill out the form for my 2 events for next year, because I want to do my 2 events again, DP for pets and DP for vets. However, I don't really know what next year looks like yet. And so I was like, well, do I want to commit myself to having this event if we end up being in the middle of a cross-country, cross-country and cross-border move? I don't know how long it's actually going to take for us to move. I mean, we want to have a bunch of stuff lined up before we actually fully move, and we don't know what that process looks like yet. I mean, there's so many options that are available to us. You know, do we buy before we go? Do we wait till we get there? Do my son and I go while my husband stays here and takes care of stuff here? Yeah, just so many open-ended things that we don't have the answer to yet, and won't until it gets closer. So I think at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and say, yes, I'm going to do them. And then if we end up moving, I'll just have to figure it out. I mean, I don't know what that would look like with me trying to move to Canada in the middle of an event, but I'm sure I can figure it out because I really want to do the event. I don't want to, you know, that'd be year 3. That's some pretty good momentum for me. I want to keep doing them. Although I have also considered, at the very least for DP for Vets, coming up with a different name, although I don't know what that would be. I just feel like, especially with DP for Vets, you know, the reason I named it that was because originally I was going to do the events at the same time and Pets and Vets rhymed. But now that's just since I split them into 2 events, that's kind of biting me in the rear end because people, I get them confused. Not that I get the events confused, but I say the wrong name when I'm talking about them. And also for DP for Vets, so many people don't understand what the event is for that I'm like, maybe I would get better participation if I had a different name for it. So that may change as well. Still in the same months and everything, but what's your guys' favorite event? I'm trying to think of the ones that I, you know, since I started have kind of hung around, the ones that I see repeatedly. I see the check along every year. There's always a Smash in the Specials, Drills and Chills, Alice in a Winter Wonderland. I'm trying to think. Bella does their Be the Hero one. Is that in December, I think? I'm sure there's some others that I'm missing, but what's your favorite event? And it can be a one-off. If you would like it to be a repeat event, share that too. If it was a one-off, why did you like it and why would you want to repeat? Because like I know this year there was a Cheryl Baker event, and I'm assuming she's planning on doing it again. I know... Ooh, there's a Mandy Manzano event. There's a Dakota Detweiler event. I don't know if those are going to be repeats or if they are repeats. Maybe I just found them this year and they've been around for a while. I don't know. That'd be something interesting to know. Like, does anybody tell you, like, Summer with the Masters has been 2 years. I was around for the start of that one. How many years has Drills and Chills been going? How many years has the Chuck Along been going? Do they, like, number them? Like, you know, Drills and Chills 1, or do they just put the year at the end of it? Because if you just put the year at the end of it, then how do you know how many there have been? Yeah, what's your favorite event? And why? Be curious to know. All right, I'm doing X's, right? Okay, yes, doing X's. Getting a nice little section filled in here. I've been talking for a while. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know. Definitely want to do the events again. I'm going to go ahead and fill out the forms and just plan on it. And then if things change, you know, I'll just have to deal with it then. I'm definitely looking forward to Black Friday and Cyber Monday. I would say this last couple of months, I've actually been looking for kits to purchase. And I've bought 2 or 3. I got my Harajuku art from Bella, which I absolutely love, and debating whether or not I want to start that one before the end of this year or wait until next year. I really want to get started on it. It's a square, which admittedly I did to myself because I could have gotten it in rounds because they're offering kits in rounds and squares now. But I just felt like from the picture that the square would look better. I don't know, just a little bit more detail, which I think is important because it's only like a 50 by 60 or something. You know, when you're doing 50 by 70, then I think you can do the rounds and lose a little bit of the detail is not as big of a deal as it is with some of the smaller ones. That's the other thing. I've decided that I need to pay more attention to the size of things because that's kind of what has gotten me in trouble with where my stash is at the moment. Because I really like this image, so I'm going to buy it, and then I would get it and it would be huge and square. It's like, oh, I don't know if I'm ever going to finish this because it's going to take me forever. And I think last year I was so focused on doing a lot of stuff for the channel that I kind of passed over projects that I wanted to do because I knew they were going to be time consuming. I need a time machine so I can do some diamond paintings and work ahead and get some things done so that I have content that I know I can fall back on when I get, you know, a surprise sneak peek kit and I have time to work on it or work it in unexpectedly, which I can't always do now. Just need more flexibility in my schedule, I guess. And that again is on me. If I had things kind of better scheduled when I was setting my goals, I probably wouldn't be where I am, but I am trying to fix that for next year and be cognizant of that. So I guess that's a question for you guys as well. Is there a goal that you think would be interesting for me to try and achieve next year? I'm already going to be doing my DP hours. I'm already going to be doing my budget. I do have a number of finishes that I want to set, but like previous goals have been how many events, you know, I was in for the year. I set a minimum for that. I did one year of trying a certain number of new to me companies for the year. What kind of ideas would you guys find interesting for me to set as a goal so that you could see, you know, kind of my progress and track it, or something we could do together as a goal? That would be interesting as well. All right, I think I've talked for long enough. So yeah, down in the comments below, leave me a comment with, you know, whatever your favorite diamond painting event is and why. And then also, if you have an idea for a goal that might be interesting for me to add into my goals for next year, let me know that as well. I feel like I made some nice progress. I'm really liking the ABs that got added in there. It is kind of slow going because the colors look kind of the same, but I'm assuming, you know, this is kind of the lightest section as I'm looking at the canvas. So as I get out of this area and I move this way on the canvas, that it won't be quite so difficult to kind of tell all of the colors apart. Or I'll just, you know, absolutely have to break out my light pad and make sure that I can see what I'm doing instead of giving myself eye strain. That's it for me today, guys. Thanks so much for sticking around till the end of the video. I hope you got something accomplished on your WIP. Before you leave, don't forget to do all the things. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so that you can be informed of future uploads. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching.